Hello and welcome. So the day has finally arrived. We have all been waiting, so excited to get to the day where we get to talk in detail about the latest Khair, and this one is Peach Delulu. Now, this is a fragrance that just was barely launched and it's already gone viral. It's been super hyped. Everybody's so excited about it. I mean, really. So today I'm going to go ahead and of course give you a detailed review of this fragrance, and I have a lot to say about this fragrance, so I hope you are ready. I am going to try and make this video rather quick because it's Sunday and we just all want to get out there and have an incredibly beautiful day. But I am going to give you a detailed review, and then I am also going to share with you the other 5 that are part of this collection, and then I'm going to rank all 6 for you so that you know which one today is my favorite and where does this one land in that lineup. But anyway, if this is your first time here, I'm Arahi and I'm your fragrance concierge because I'm totally committed to creating the best fragrance experience for you. I upload videos multiple times a week, and on this channel we love to talk about all types of fragrances. So if that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go. So let's go ahead and jump right in. And I just want to let you guys know that this is a fragrance that was launched maybe a day or 2 ago. And I think it is still in pre-order. And of course, I will leave a link and a discount code to where you can pick it up if you're interested once you hear everything about it. And as I said in the opening, this would be the 6th fragrance within that Khair fragrances collection. And this one is in a beautiful, beautiful bottle. If you're interested in looking at the box and more details of the unboxing and the bottle in more detail, I do have a short here on the channel where I did the unboxing and I shared with you a little bit of details, before I started testing the fragrance. So I want you to know that yes, I did receive this in PR and I received it well in advance of the launch date. Now, this is a fragrance that I have had the opportunity to use about 3 times, as in 3 full day wears. But as I always tell you, this is a fragrance that when I first received it, the first thing I did was spray it out. I think it was about 10 to 12 times because I typically tell you spray it out 8 times, but I'm extra, so I spray it out 10 to 12 times. I sprayed it quite a bit. And then I put the cap back on, I put it back in the box, and I put it away for a couple of days. And then I started again to try it on skin. But, before we jump into the review, let me just share with you a couple of observations around this fragrance. The first interesting thing about this fragrance is that when I published that short where I did the unboxing, I had quite the number of fan members who let me know that Delulu is actually a slang, right? It's a word that's more of a slang word. So I looked it up and I found that it means someone who is delusional, right? So it is a very interesting name to give a fragrance because that would mean that Peach Delulu stands for I guess, delusional peach, but hey, I guess that's what they wanted to name it. I am here for it. I'm good because we need to have some fun. Now, the other thing that I am sure most of you have been waiting for me to discuss with you is if this fragrance reminds me of any other fragrance, and it definitely does remind me very, very much so of a Sarah Baker fragrance. And the name of that fragrance is Peach Revenge. All right, so I'm going to start by reminding you that if you decide to pick up this fragrance, the first thing that I am going to highly recommend that you do is that you pull it out of the box, you remove the cap, and you spray it out, bringing down the spraying mechanism completely down a full at least 8 times. If you can do it 10 times or 12 times, that would be even better, but 8 times should be enough. That is the first thing that you need to do, and then allow it to sit for a couple of days. And the reason that I'm making it a point to start this review by saying that is because it is very, very hot in most places right now, like super, super hot. And when I received this fragrance, the box was very, very warm and the bottle was very, very warm. So that told me immediately that God only knows what this fragrance went through during the entire shipping process. So that told me that I needed to allow the fragrance to, number one, settle from shipping, which is typical of any fragrance regardless. And number two, that as always, I did need to allow it to sit, to allow the fragrance to bloom and give me its very best. So as soon as you receive this fragrance, you can sniff it, but please do not judge the fragrance by that first sniff, because most likely, especially with this weather that we have going on, it's not going to be a very pleasant experience. Now, I will tell you another thing, which is that this is the kind of fragrance that you need to try on skin. This is a fragrance that will give you one thing on paper and another on skin. At least that has been my experience with it. But I can assure you, because there are fragrances like that, that you definitely have to try them on skin. I can assure you that this is one of those fragrances, because it will make a tremendous difference in the olfactory journey and in what you pick up from the fragrance. All right, so now let's go ahead and talk about the olfactory journey of this fragrance. And of course, I will be sharing with you the notes as always. So this is a fragrance that when I first sprayed it, as I told you before, I was not getting it's not that it was not a pleasant scent. It was like a little bit synthetic, you know? But once I put it away and I allowed it to sit for almost a week, then I can tell you that the difference was quite significant in what I got from the fragrance. I did mention before, this is a fragrance that truly reminds me considerably of that Sarah Baker fragrance, which is Peach Revenge. Now, I will tell you though, that in trying this fragrance, I can tell you that there are some differences. Some of them are negligible and some of them not so much. Now, as I give you the review of the fragrance and I also start to talk about some comparison points around both fragrances, I want you to keep in mind that this is just that this fragrance is reminding me of that one, number one, very much so. But number two, I want you to keep in mind that this fragrance has not had a chance to sit in my collection for months. So we may very well not really know completely what we are going to get from this fragrance. So while right now it is smelling very, very nice, and I am going to give you all the details in a minute, I want you to keep in mind that it has not had the chance to sit for weeks or months at a time in my collection. So Khair Peach Delulu is a fragrance that opens up very fruity. And in that fruitiness, the fragrance does open sweet, not super sweet, but it does open sweet. And the first fruit that you are going to pick up on, because it's like a blast upon that opening, is the peach for sure. Now, the peach in the opening is not as sweet or as intense as it's going to become as you continue to progress in the olfactory journey. But in addition to that, and something that is a game changer when I think about the one that it reminds me of, is that in this opening, it's not just about the peach. It's about the peach and the guava. And the guava note is a very, very present guava. It is not a demure. It is not a faint. It is not in the background. It is a very present guava that is not dominant. It is coupling very well with the peach, but it is a note that you're not going to be able to avoid. As the journey continues, you are going to notice that the fragrance becomes a bit fresh, spicy, and it starts to introduce the spicy notes. And the one that I pick up on immediately, and actually the only one that I can clearly distinguish from all of the other spicy notes, is the cardamom. Now, the other thing that I do want to tell you is that I think they have disclosed, if I recall correctly, cardamom and ginger, but I pick up on other spicy notes in this fragrance. And I'm not going to get into all of that, but I am telling you there are other spicy notes here for sure. But the one that I pick up on the most, the one that I pick up on period, is really the cardamom, along with that entire vibe of fresh spiciness. Now, as you approach the dry down, it is going to be very, very clear to you that the star of this fragrance, regardless of the guava and the spicy notes and anything else that may be going on, the star of this fragrance is the peach for sure. Because as you approach the dry down, you know, the peach has now intensified, and it is a juicy peach. It is not synthetic in any kind of way, but it's not, in all honesty, the most realistic peach that I've ever picked up on in a fragrance. It's really not, but it's not synthetic. But it is definitely a very present peach that is quite dominant as you approach the dry down. Now, the peach is definitely still followed by that guava note, because that guava note is going to be with you from the opening of the fragrance all throughout the olfactory journey, at the dry down, and throughout the entire wear of the fragrance. The guava plays a very critical role in this fragrance. And I continue to repeat that because I know from experience that guava is not one of those notes that is crowd pleasing or that everybody typically loves. It's not like a vanilla. It's not, you know, it's just one of those notes that can go awfully wrong. And in this fragrance, it has not gone wrong to my nose at all. But it is definitely a guava that is very present, so you have to enjoy the note of guava. If not, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to think that the peach is kind of synthetic, and what you're really getting is the guava. That's one of those things about the guava. Now, in addition to that peach that is now very dominant as you approach the dry down, and that guava that remains present, the spicy notes are still there. The one that I still pick up on is the cardamom. I am picking up on a couple others, but they come in and they come out. But the one that stays all throughout is definitely the cardamom. And at no point does this fragrance become warm spicy to my nose. No, it pretty much remains fresh spicy. And I don't know how they did that, what other notes may be involved, but it is definitely fresh spicy to my nose. A very, very interesting part of this olfactory journey, and what had me amazed and what actually had me test the fragrance a third time before bringing you this review, is the fact that at the dry down, the fragrance does become a bit powdery. And based on the notes, I don't know where that powderiness is coming from, but it does become a bit powdery. Not very powdery, you know, but you are going to pick up on that powderiness for sure. And I don't know where it's coming from. In addition to that, at the dry down, the fragrance becomes sweeter than how it opened. This fragrance is never a fragrance that I would consider a very sweet fragrance or a sweet, sweet fragrance. No. This is just sweet, you know, just regular sweet. That's what I would describe, you know, in this fragrance. But at the dry down, you are going to get a sweet fragrance, right? The sweetness has increased from the sweetness that you experience in the opening. At the dry down, you're going to have a sweet scent, but the sweet scent is clearly going to be coming from like a caramel woodiness. That's the only way that I can explain it. It's almost like they took the caramel and they drizzled like some woody notes all over it, and that's the scent that you're getting. At all that, the caramel is not dense or syrupy. No, because again, there is nothing cloying or super dense about this fragrance to my nose whatsoever. Is this a freshie? No, it's not a freshie. This is definitely a fragrance with quite a bit of character, because the guava, the woody notes, and those spicy notes really play a big role in this fragrance and in the depth that you will experience with it. So at the dry down and throughout the wear of this fragrance, what you are going to get is a sweet scent that is fruity at all times, where the peach is definitely the star, followed closely by a very present guava note, on a backdrop of musky woodiness that has like a sweet caramelly touch to it, with a touch of spiciness all throughout. That is what you're going to get at the dry down. And I have to tell you that the scent is quite beautiful and a little bit addictive. Is this one of those fragrances that is super addictive to me? No, it's really not. But there is something that makes you sniff yourself. Every time, that you spray it, you're going to want to sniff your hand or your wrist. You're going to want to sniff it over and over because it is a bit addictive. Now, this is definitely a musk-based fragrance, and the musk here is present. It's not dominant in any way. It's not animalic either, so you don't have to worry about that, but you are going to pick up on the musk. And the musk, from a 1 to 5, with 5 being the most and 1 being the least, I would say that the musk here is like a level 3. But again, it is very, very smooth, and it is not the star of the fragrance in any kind of way. So if you're one of those fam members that is not into musk-based fragrances, you may still want to get your nose on this one and try it, because you may not even really pick up much on the musk, because the star here is the peach, followed by the guava and all those other supporting role notes. Now, at all that, this is a fragrance that is very versatile and non-offensive, because although it has some degree of musk, it has no oud. I think that this is perfect for absolutely any age. You can dress it up, you can dress it down, so any occasion, day or night, any season of the year, which is one of the considerable differences that I'll talk more about when we talk about how, it compares to the one that it reminds me of, right? But I can tell you that this is a fragrance that I think that you can use for any season of the year, right? And also, to me, this is very much unisex. Is it one of those unisex fragrances that really kind of leans to the masculine side? No, this one actually kind of leans more to the feminine side, but I can see a gentleman wearing this fragrance with no problem. Truly, I can see just about anybody wearing this fragrance without any issues. Now, as far as performance, I want to remind you that this one has not had a chance to sit for weeks or months in my collection. So this is a fragrance that is most likely going to perform much, much better a couple months down the road, like most affordable Middle Eastern fragrances, do. But I can tell you that right now, I am not complaining, because this is giving me a full day wear to the tune of 7 hours. It really doesn't go over that unless I respray or overspray. But this is a fragrance that is giving me a full day wear with a very strong projection during almost the first 90 minutes, not quite, but almost. And it does have a moderate sillage. This is not a fragrance that, I've received any compliments with when wearing it. But again, I haven't really had a chance to wear it a lot. And this fragrance has not had a chance to sit for, again, weeks or months at a time. But all in all, I am very, very satisfied with the performance of the fragrance and with the scent. This one definitely reminds me a lot of that Peach's Revenge or Peach's Revenge fragrance from Sarah Baker. So typically when I deliver a detailed review such as this one, I typically have some caution observations for you. And with this one, I do have 2. There may be other things that you may want to look into, but these 2 are really the ones that I really want to bring to your attention again. Number 1, the guava note in this fragrance is very present, very, very present. And you have to keep in mind that this is one that you have to try on skin to really see what it's going to do for you. Because if you just go by, trying it on paper or just spraying it in the air and sniffing it, I am telling you, you may miss out on truly a beautiful and great fragrance. This is one that needs to be tried on skin. The other thing that I wanted to let you know is that I am telling you, this is one of those fragrances that I just know in a couple months down the road, we're all going to be like, wow, now I really get, this or that other note or accord in such an intense way. The performance has intensified. I am telling you, I have really looked into so many affordable Middle Eastern fragrances that I can almost tell when I try one that, that is a note that's going to be more and more intense with time. And if I had to be a guessing girl, the note that's really going to be the star here completely is that peach. I have a feeling that and I may be totally wrong, but I have a feeling that we're going to have a peach in a couple of months down the road that's going to be even more intense than what I pick up right now, which is already quite considerable. It's going to be juicier. It's going to probably be sweeter. And I have a feeling that the guava will smooth out. That is what I really predict with this fragrance. Now, that's just me letting you know that I am expecting that there will be a significant shift in this fragrance in a positive way moving forward, because right now it's already giving me a very, very lovely scent. It's just not, there are some notes that are kind of like wavering, like they don't know if they want to be a part of this game or not. And I just know that with time, all of those quirks are going to definitely flush themselves out. But this is a type of fragrance that you need to allow to sit in your collection in order to really experience the very best of it. That has actually been the case with other Khair fragrances that I have in my collection and that I'll talk about in a minute. So that does not surprise me. All in all, I really am very, very impressed with this fragrance. It has not disappointed. I've never been really disappointed by any Khair fragrance. And I'd give this one for sure an 8.5 out of 10. All right, so now I just want to share with you, how does, in my opinion, right, when this one reminds me of that other fragrance, Peach Revenge, what is it? What are the little nuances or the negligible differences that I am picking up? First of all, I can tell you that in Peach's Revenge, I pick up on a booziness that is not present at all in this fragrance. Now, I am going to give you a disclaimer. It may be that the booziness will come up, once this one has had a chance to sit. Have they disclosed any type of boozy note in the note structure of this fragrance? No, they have not. But fragrance houses typically don't tell us all of the notes that are involved in a fragrance. But I can tell you that right now, there is no booziness in this fragrance to my nose or on paper. Now, in addition to that booziness, I can also tell you that there's a difference in the level of woodiness. Here, I am picking up on more woodiness than that I get in Peach's Revenge. In Peach's Revenge, I don't even think I get much woodiness, because Peach's Revenge is a fragrance that to me is all about the note of peach, which is the start, just like in this one, but it's also very much centered around the spicy notes. But the thing is, which is another difference, is that in Peach's Revenge, the spiciness comes across to my nose as warm, spicy, period. Here, it's really more about fresh, spicy, and the cardamom, again, it may be a function of it not having sat yet, but the cardamom is quite present as it relates to that spicy accord of the fragrance. The other thing I can tell you is that Delulu is definitely less sweet than what I recall Peach's Revenge to be. Completely, but that again may be a function of the fact that this one has not had a chance to sit. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but I just have to make sure that you understand that I just know this fragrance is going to intensify with time, and that you're going to be able to pick up on notes that right now may not be peeking through because it hasn't had a chance to sit. The other thing that I did want to mention is that I do pick up on powderiness at the dry down in this fragrance, but in the one that it reminds me of, in Peach's Revenge, the dry down is definitely powdery beyond a shadow of a doubt. It is definitely a powdery dry down. It's not cloying. It's a lovely fragrance. It's a lovely scent at dry down, but it is very powdery. Not excessively powdery, but it is definitely powdery. This one is just powdery at the dry down right now. Not much, or, you may not even pick up on the powderiness, to be honest with you. That is how I pick up on that powderiness. But there is definitely a difference between this one and the one that it reminds me of. Now, one thing that I did want to make sure that I bring to your attention, in case you are thinking of the one that it reminds me of and you're thinking, oh, Arahi, maybe I can just pick up this one instead of having, to pay for that other one. Well, let me tell you, that other fragrance, the one that it reminds me of, is a fragrance that to me, on my skin, to my nose, and on paper, is a blast of peach and a very sweet fragrance. Definitely very sweet peach that has touches of spiciness all throughout the olfactory journey, and at the dry down and throughout the wear, to me that fragrance is really a spicy peach. So because of that, and the funny thing is that I think that that fragrance is suited for maybe, like spring and fall. That's not one that I would necessarily pull, during a super hot summer day. Can you pull it during the summer? Yes. But with this one, we don't have limitations on seasons right now. This is an all-year fragrance. Again, very, very versatile, which is something that I don't find in the one that it reminds me of. Now, the last difference that I did want to discuss with you is that to me, as I mentioned before, this is truly a unisex fragrance that may lean a tad to the feminine side. Now, once it's had a chance to sit, that may become a different type of issue, right? It may lean a bit more to the feminine side. I don't think this would ever lean to the masculine side. If anything, it'll lean more to the feminine side after it has had a chance to sit, and maybe that peach becomes even more dominant and prominent and the fragrance becomes sweeter. That's really what I'm expecting, right? But there is a difference, because in the one that it reminds me of, to me, Peach's Revenge is a completely feminine fragrance. It is feminine all the way. I can't imagine a gent wearing that fragrance, not even if they layer it with another one. But of course, you know what I always tell you, wear whatever you want, how you want, and when you want, right? But if you're asking me, Arahi, is this unisex? Is it leaning to any side? Well, I'm letting you know that this is a unisex fragrance that may end up leaning a tad to the feminine side, or may do it right now. But really, this is a unisex fragrance to my nose. All in all, I can tell you that even though I did find those differences, and some of them are negligible and some are not, this is still a fragrance that does remind me considerably of Peach's Revenge for sure. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and rank all of my Khair fragrances for you. And I'm going to start by actually telling you a little bit about each, just so that you remember, in case you don't have them all, or in case, you just want to know, what is it that each one will remind you of. But I can tell you that we started with the original Khair fragrance, and this one was launched in 2023. And this is the original, and here is the bottle. I have to tell you that all of these bottles are just so exquisitely beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And the feel of the bottle is that of a luxury fragrance. The cap is a little bit light, but it really doesn't feel cheap in any kind of way. And the design of the bottle is just exquisite. So this is one that reminds me of Gissa Imperial Valley, which is a fragrance that I also own. I own all of the fragrances that I'm going to be discussing with you. But this one definitely reminds me considerably of that Gissa fragrance for sure. So the next one that was launched was Khair Pistachio, and this one was also launched in 2023. And look at this bottle. This is one of my favorite bottles. I mean, it is just absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And this one reminds me, I mean, when I say reminds me, the reminder is so intense. So this one reminds me of Kayali's fragrance, Yum Pistachio Gelato for sure. This is a super addictive, incredible fragrance. The next one that I have is Khair Fusion. And oh my, look at this beauty of a bottle. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? I hope that the camera is picking up, because it is just absolutely beautiful. Now, this is a fragrance that reminds me considerably of that Kayali fragrance, Kayali Eden Sparkling Lychee. Definitely. I mean, and all of these, All of these fragrances have had a chance to sit in my collection for months and months. This one I think was launched like towards the end of 2023, if I recall correctly, but there were like 3 of these that came all out in the same year, if I recall correctly. If I am wrong, please let us know in the comment section, but I'm pretty sure that this was like towards the end of 2023. Now the next one is Khair Confection, and this one was launched in 2024, and this is one of my favorite bottles. Of all of the bottles, oh, this is just absolutely beautiful. So this one reminds me of Kayali Vanilla Candy Rock Sugar. Definitely reminds me of that fragrance. And this one was definitely launched in 2024. I think it was towards the beginning, if I recall correctly, or maybe mid 2024. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 2024. And the next one that I'm going to share with you has got to be one of the most popular fragrances from this line. It really depends on what you're into. That's how you're going to say that this one or that one is your favorite. But this one was launched, I'm pretty sure it was 2025, like towards the beginning. And this one is Khair Felicity. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Absolutely gorgeous. And this is a fragrance that, when I tell you, it reminds me tremendously of that Kayali fragrance, the Wedding Silk Santal. And this is absolutely exceptional. This is so addictive. This is very, very addictive. I know so many fam members bought backup bottles of this one, I tell you. But anyway, so now that I've shared with you all of those fragrances, and now of course, now we just had this one launched, so now we have a total of 6. I'm going to share with you my current ranking. Now, I do want you to keep in mind that as I rank them for you, this is just based on my preferences, right? We all have notes that we prefer and accords that we love, and a fragrance on my skin may perform a certain way, which may not be the same way that it performs on yours. So please keep that in mind. Just because I rank your favorite low or high doesn't mean anything. It's just based on my preference. But since I know you're going to ask me to rank these fragrances for you, I am going to do it. Okay, so let me start by saying that coming in at number 6, it would have to be the original Khair. Okay, this one for me is, I can't even say that it's my least favorite, because obviously there's a dent. And do you know how hard it is for me to have a dent in any fragrance in this level of collection? But I can tell you that this one would be coming in at number 6. Now, coming in at number 5, and I don't want you to take this in any kind of way. This is not an indication of this fragrance not being a like or a love or anything like that. No, it's just that number 1, this is the newest one in my collection. So now you know I am talking about Khair Peach Delulu. This one would come in at number 5. And it's only because I haven't had it in my collection for a while. I haven't had a chance to use it as much as the others. I haven't had experiences with it. And I just know that this is a fragrance that will change with time. So for me, it's coming in right now at number 5. Then coming in at number 4, I would have to say that it's Khair Fusion. Definitely Khair Fusion. I absolutely love this fragrance, and I also love the one that it reminds me of. I have all of them, and honestly, sometimes I even layer them because this one performs really well. They all perform beautifully, I have to say. Then coming in at number 3, I have to say it's Khair Confection. Now, Khair Confection is definitely a fragrance that so I think, no, is this my second bottle? This might be my second bottle of this one, because when I first received it, I just couldn't stop using it. And then I started layering with it and layering, and that bottle went so fast. And I think my daughter ended up taking, when it was like a little bit less than halfway, I think my daughter ended up taking it, but definitely Khair Confection. Then coming in at number 2, for sure, it would have to be Khair Pistachio. Now, this one has got to be the most addictive of all of these fragrances, for sure. This is just a load of pistachio, but done in such a beautiful way. And as you allow this fragrance to sit, that pistachio becomes like creamy. It is just perfection. And then, of course, now you know that coming in at number one for me is definitely Khair Felicity. This is just incredible, guys. This is just this is the ultimate beautiful, addictive fragrance in this group. Have you tried any of these fragrances? Do you own them? I know that many of you have probably all of these fragrances except for the new Peach Delulu, but let us know how you rank your collection. Anyway, guys, so we've reached the end of today's video, and I really hope that I answered all of your questions regarding this new beauty. I have to tell you, I am so happy that now we have this peach fragrance within this, Khair collection, because I think it is a welcome addition. And I just have the feeling that, again, in a couple of months down the road, we are all going to be singing the praises of this fragrance. We are going to be so happy because that peach is going to be something else for sure. And we don't know what's going to happen with all the other notes, or what other notes and accords are going to, pop in that were not present from the beginning. It's just going to be a delight to see how this one transforms. Of course, I will circle back with you with an update, as this one starts its sitting process. Anyway, so I hope that this was enjoyable for you, and I hope that I was able to give you all of the information that you need around the new Peach Delulu. And as always, thank you so much for hanging with me today. If you have a question, you know where to find me, and I will see you all in the next video.